Welcome to It Can Get Better Than This. I'm Heather Hodge,
And I'm Dr. Cindy Byler.
and today we're going to be talking about bare
Bare
minimum.
minimum.
Woo!
Boy, we have been talking about this for quite a while. Ben is our producer, and I started talking about this probably a year ago now. And like, what is the bare minimum that I can expect in my relationships is where we started. But we also have bare minimum that we expect within our own lives too. And I thought this was an important topic for us to talk about.
I agree. Um I think this is a good topic to bring up in your relationships and with yourself.
Yes. Yeah. So a bare minimum is informed by our personalities, our upbringing. If we have a more strict, had more strict parents or rigid upbringing, or if our parents more relaxed, or if they were completely let us go off the rails.
Mhm.
It's also informed by our current environment, like who we live with, what the expectations of our life are, if we have kids and a career,
Who we work with.
who we work with. Are we taking care of our I was going to say our adult parents, but are we taking care of our parents? Those kinds of things, and also our emotional and mental state, and that can change throughout seasons of life and even day to day,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on what's going on. So let's talk first about some of the things that fall under bare minimum.
Okay.
So some of that would be and let's start with bare minimum for ourselves.
Okay.
So examples of that would be bills have to be paid.
Right. Right. Cuz no matter how you're feeling, it's coming. They're
Right.
coming for you.
Right. Also, taking care of yourself. Making sure if you're on medications that you're taking your medications. Um, Making sure you're feeding yourself and not just like junk food, but you're feeding
Things.
yourself the nutrients that and vitamins that your body needs.
Right.
Hygiene, like brushing your teeth and taking a shower and putting on deodorant.
Yeah, I know that kind of stuff definitely takes a toll when or yeah, it takes a back seat when we're going through things. You know, the level of there's actually a phenomenon, the level of showers um that I saw it as the level of showers a girl takes. I think it's pretty universal though.
I think so
The
too.
you have the get in, hurry up, wash your face, wash your body, get out. And then you have the, take my time, wash my hair, condition my hair and everything. And then, get out. And then you have the, I'm going to use my exfoliant and my nice shampoo, my nice conditioner, and I'm going to
It's
sit in
gonna be
there
an
for a long
hour shower,
time. And
right?
right. Or if you have like the little shower fizzy things, like all of the works
Right,
basically.
right.
Like but then there's also one that's like, I'm just going to sit in here and let the rain fall on my head and cry. And,
I understand that some days. It's also another example of a bare minimum for yourself is keeping up with your environment, the place
mhm,
that you're living. So, like doing dishes and making sure the floor is clean, the bathroom is clean, things like that.
right. I think bare minimum is like, it's not, it's not super tidy. It's livable. Bare minimum is I need to make sure there are no bugs in the house kind of
Yes,
thing. Like, let's
right.
get the trash and the dishes out. And then it's, I have to have at least clean clothes for tomorrow. What can I do to have clean clothes for tomorrow or for the next 3 days or
Yeah,
whatever?
right.
Versus let's keep up with the laundry. It's nope, my minimum is I just need clothes for tomorrow. I got to worry about tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes life is like that where it's just so overwhelming that's you can only, okay, it's great that I brushed my teeth today.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got a shower today because that's not happening, especially when you have littles.
Yeah, or if you're really struggling with a bout of depression or
Hmm.
um sometimes and if like life events trigger you, if you're dealing with financial struggle or if you're dealing with for some people when their parents come into town they shut down.
Yes. Yes. That's true. Or they do the opposite and the house is more spotless than it's ever been.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when things are stressful, like the AC goes out a couple of times, sometimes the bare minimum is below the bare minimum. It's less for a little while.
Yeah.
But it's really important to recognize that that is happening because the bare minimum is the things that keep your life going.
Right.
like paying the bills, making sure you're fed right, like taking a shower and making sure that your body is hydrated, things like that. That those keep us going. So even when it's really stressful, if we know, okay, these things might start falling through the cracks, I need to try to keep up with them as much as possible, then that often helps us keep on target with just keeping up with life.
The bare minimum is the standard that tethers us when we are on
Oh,
autopilot.
that's good.
That's
Yeah.
I was trying to think through how do you say this?
Yeah, that's good.
It's that tether that pulls you back and says,
Right.
"Okay, I know everything's falling apart, but you have to brush your teeth. That's all
Right.
you got to do.
Right.
You got to brush your teeth." Or I know the whole world is falling apart, but you at least have to get up and get out of bed today. If
Right.
that's all you do is survive the day, you have to get up and get out of bed
Right.
today.
So my one of my bare minimums is I have to take a shower.
Yeah, I feel that.
Unless we're up at 4:30 in the morning to travel. But then I feel grungy all day and like I haven't quite woken up. But shower for me is a bare minimum. And I don't have to wash my hair every day, but I need to at least feel the water in my face and like it wakes me up.
Yeah, I'm like that about brushing my teeth. I can't go the whole like it'll ruin my day if I'm going the whole day and my mouth feels gross. I need to be
Yeah.
able to brush my teeth at least
Right.
in the
Right.
morning so that I can
Sometimes
function.
we had the bare minimum of the bare minimums.
Yeah. Yeah.
So introverts and extroverts need have different bare minimums, and it's important to pay attention to that. And just be aware of that, because, like I said, personalities inform our bare
Mhm.
minimums. Introverts need more time alone because that's what it takes for them to recharge, is to be alone, to be
Right.
away from people. Some some introverts are okay being around their family and not everybody else, and that helps them recharge. And some introverts need to just be by themselves for a little bit to recharge.
Yeah.
Whereas extroverts need time to be with other people to recharge. They need
Right.
socialization to recharge.
To look at that from that perspective is okay, I have been with people all day at work for the last 5, 6 days, whatever the work schedule is. And we've gone out and we've done this, and we went out this on Saturday and we did this on Sunday. I need one day where I can come home and just shut down.
Yeah.
And I think if I get through one day of that, or I need like 6 hours of nobody talking to me, or of being in my house with my like safe people or whatever,
Right.
and then I think I'll be okay. And sometimes it's longer than that. Some people need like 2, 3 days of I just need everybody out,
Right.
and then I'll be okay after that.
Yeah. Right.
So
Especially if we've been over socialized with family coming in, or a lot of activities on one week
and
or a
the
weekend,
right, and the
like
other
a
side of
wedding.
that, sometimes work isn't enough, or a lot of times work is not enough for extroverts, and they need at least one day where they do something outside of the norm, outside of their house.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Right. It doesn't have to be expensive.
no, no,
It could just
taking
be
a
going,
walk or
yeah, just being with somebody, going over to the other person's house, or them coming to be with you.
yeah,
Yeah, things like that. And then we have ambiverts, which makes things even more complicated, right,
yeah,
Heather?
yeah. I'm an ambivert. And honestly, what that's taken for me personally is to just really check in with myself and ask, where am I at? And if I'm being really honest with myself, what do I need? Do I
Hmm.
really need to get out? Do I need time alone? You know, do I need time like where it's absolutely quiet? What exactly is it that I need
Right.
to get back in my head and feel better?
Yeah.
But
And it's just checking in with yourself and being realistic,
yeah,
being self-aware of what do I need at this moment.
right. Right.
And all personalities really need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So that's bare minimum of for yourself.
Mhm.
So bare minimum of what I expect in other relationships is what I want to cover next. And that's where Ben and I started. When we started talking about this, I had not really heard this term before. And he had a friend that he was talking to. It's a great friend from college. And they were having a conversation, and he asked her about something that they had talked about in previous conversation that she's interested in. I
Yeah.
don't remember what it was, but that's not really the point. And she was shocked that he remembered that thing that she was interested in and brought it up to him, or brought it up to her. And we found that sad, that people were surprised when you hit the bare minimum in a relationship.
Yeah.
I and he expressed that to her, saying that
This is the bare minimum of what you should
yeah,
expect in a
this is what you
friendship.
should expect in a friendship, is that I remember things that you enjoy and things that you have said in previous conversations.
Right.
And it's just kind of scary, that a little shocking that we even this is even a subject that we approach these days, is what is the bare minimum in a relationship.
Yeah.
So a bare minimum relationship is well, it really depends on what it is for that relationship. Sometimes we find that we compromise boundaries for a relationship for a significant other that we would not do for anybody else, like friends or family. So that's something to pay attention to, is sometimes we tend to compromise our boundaries and our expectations for somebody that we're in a relationship with as a significant other, because we want to hold on to them. It's important to know that those things are kind of slipping and falling through the cracks, because you might be violating essential boundaries in your relationship and losing your identity, losing who you are in the relationship just to keep it going.
So, what are some examples of a bare minimum expectation in a friendship? I know we did the interests and stuff, but what are some other good examples on what we could expect minimally out of a friendship?
Well, definitely that there's two-way communication, that it's not just one person that initiates all the time, like text, calls, going out. And it's not just one person that is the focus of the relationship. That's really important. And that sometimes is false, is what people compromise, is that it's all about one person.
Mm.
And sometimes that person might have special needs, but when they are able to and okay, doing better, then they need to be contributing into the relationship as well.
Yeah.
It should not be about one person or one person's care or one person's interests.
Yeah, we all go through things at different times, and there are
Hmm.
times where um like it's harder to invest in our relationships because um there's there's stuff at the forefront of our minds that we
Right.
can't handle at the moment, but it's important when those things die down to invest in our relationships and our friendships and our
Hmm.
communities and stuff.
Yes.
I think two-way communication is a really big one though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
That's true. It's and that does happen in a lot of friendships where it's like they're a one woman show and the other person's an audience member instead of it being
Right.
like a dialogue and
Right.
talking
It becomes a
together and
monologue. Yeah. I've had
yeah.
some friendships like that when I was younger. But as I grew older, I realized I can sit here and listen all the time. That's fine. But this is not really a relationship that feeds me. It's not a give and take. It's pretty much me giving my ear and my attention, and it's all about them. And there's nothing in this relationship about me.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a friendship like that, that's okay.
But it's not really a friendship at that
Right.
point. That's one person being extremely selfless.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. An audience, choosing
Yeah.
to be the audience.
That's a good question to ask ourselves too. Is am I asking other people how they're feeling? Or when I'm talking to people, am I asking
Hmm.
how are you doing and actually caring about the answer and making room for that in the conversation, or am I checking it off as a box and
Right.
then moving on to how I feel?
Right. Yeah. That's good. That's good, because sometimes we're doing it ourselves and we're not even, it's a blind spot. We don't realize that we're the one that's carrying the monologue or,
Right. Especially if it's like not our heart to do so in the first place. It's hard to think, oh yeah, I might be doing
right.
that.
Whoops. So let's talk about some how of
Okay.
reaching the bare minimum. So one thing is to make time to be with them, and with them, like putting the phone down,
Mm-hmm.
putting the text, social media, emails, all that down, and just being present with that person when you're with them, rather than, oh, I'm over here texting another person as well.
Yeah, a lot of people use that to check out when they're feeling
Hmm.
overwhelmed and stuff. But if you're specifically setting, and that's not just for friendships, that's relationships with your family, that's, who you're dating, all of it. Um, but when you're making specific quality time to be with somebody, you need to put the quality into that time
Yes.
and put your phone down
Yeah.
and focus on them.
That's one of the things that we had when you kids were at home for dinner table, is, okay, the phones are down. We are present with each other now. You can be present with the rest of the world when we are done with this meal, but let's just communicate as a family and be together as a family.
Yeah.
And that's one good time to do it for anybody is when you're sitting down for a meal with somebody, you are with that person and that person or those people only.
Yeah. Or if you're at a restaurant, you're not watching TV
Right.
across from your
Oh, I
date.
hate it when the TVs are up because it's like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, no. Focus, look them in the eye, or on, if you can't look them in the eye, you can look them like right above
Right.
in the middle of their forehead, and it looks like you're looking them in the eye.
Right.
Like, do something.
Right. So another how is holding space for your friends.
hmm
And
Yeah, that's really important. So holding space is like, if you think about when you go to an event, your friend hasn't gotten there yet, but you've gotten there early, so you save a seat for them.
mhm,
You tell people, sorry, my friend's coming, she's on her way, and you're holding that space for them.
that's a good analogy. Yeah.
So, to apply it to a conversation, it's um, I'm making room for what you have to say, but not just for that, but for your thoughts, for your opinions, for your heart. And I'm not filtering through my own experience. I'm listening to the raw experience of what is going on with you and making room for that, for you to
hmm
have that in my life too.
Right. And it's also not inserting yourself into their situation as
Right.
if that person is you. So what somebody else is going through, even if you've been through something similar, you are not that person.
Right.
And so holding space is also giving them to room to feel what they feel and accepting it and not like, well, you shouldn't feel this way. This is how I felt. Or that doesn't make any sense. Or discounting it or dismissing it
Right.
because you didn't go through the same thing.
I think a lot of people are initially conditioned to either fix the problem or have an answer for the problem
hmm
when people present them with a
Or
problem.
make it
But
smaller so it doesn't feel so big
yeah,
for
but
themselves or for the person that's actually having the problem.
a lot of times it helps more to just have someone who's listening and who is sitting with you,
hmm
you know? There when there's nothing you can do, there's no way that you can really understand what they're going through, to just sit there and be with them and say, "I know there's nothing I can do, but I'm with you
Yes. Yeah.
and I see you," is a big one.
Right. Right. It's important because um, men will never understand what women go through. As far as like, I went to the store last night, Walmart by myself, and it's just I call it our baby Walmart. It's not the big Walmart,
Mhm.
but it was frightening to be there by myself while my husband is recovering from shoulder surgery, and he can't get out yet.
Right.
But we need a pain reliever, and we needed a thermometer, and me there's been men that have discounted that in my life to my face, like, "It's not that big of a deal," but I don't even feel like I can go for a walk in our park anymore because of how difficult it has gotten seems to have gotten for women to be snatched up so easily.
Right. Right.
Or Caucasians will never understand truly what people of color go through,
No, they don't.
and so it's important that we don't
We don't. I shouldn't say they don't. We don't.
we
We
don't
don't
right.
understand. Right.
Right, so it's important to not insert yourself into that situation and very easy to be dismissive when it's you've never been through it and you're not that person.
Right. What you can do is listen and be there with them
hmm
and just make room for their thoughts, feelings, and
Yeah,
opinions. And
empathize with them.
yeah.
Right. And then there's also another how is that what we talked about before is that make sure the relationship is not one sided. And you made an important point is make sure that you're not the one that makes it one sided.
Yeah.
And if you're the person that's not making it one sided, I've had some friends that I've just kind of backed away from because I'm always the person that text calls, hey, let's go out first. And I felt it makes me feel like I'm pushing a friendship on them that they don't really want,
Yeah.
or that maybe it's out of season. We had a friendship, but now we don't have a friendship anymore. And so I've backed off some to see, well, are they interested as well? And you got to allow for some grief in that too. If they don't respond back, if they don't notice that the friendship is gone, maybe even they've moved in a different direction with their lives where you're not included in their life in the same way that you were.
Right. Sometimes it's healthy to recognize that there are different capacities for a relationship that
hmm
Like where you guys might have used to talk every other day, now it's like we might talk once or twice a month. It's just the capacity of the friendship has changed,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
We live in a military town, and it's very common that, you know, people move away and we lose touch, but we see each other on Facebook and kind of support
Mm-hmm.
each other from afar and
Right.
like
It's
pictures back
different.
and forth.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's important to grieve that too.
Mm-hmm.
But the bare minimum of keeping up with and investing into the friendship and everything is at least communication
Yes. Yeah.
or an attempt of communication back and forth.
Right. So living together is a big bare minimum. And this has been a topic for a couple years now of the mental load falling on one person in the family.
Hmm.
So the mental and the physical load of what has to be done. If you have children, what happens with the children's calendar? Like, are they where they need to be? Is the homework done?
Right.
Is everybody fed? Is everybody in bed on time? Are we getting up on time? It's huge, and
Well, their little bedtime routine too, falling
right,
on one
right,
one parent or the other.
right. It should not fall on just one person. And there's many ways to figure out how to divide chores and mental load, and that takes communication, but it takes an awareness that, oh, like my wife or my husband is carrying the entire mental load for our family or most of the mental load. I really need to help participate in this. Being aware of it and then communicating about it so that that can fall on both shoulders, or if there's other adults in the family, like as children get older, that even little ones can start learning how to pick up their toys and take care of things
Oh yeah.
at the house. We never did allowances for the kids for chores done in the house because this is our house, and we wanted to teach them that everybody lives here and everybody needs to participate in this, so they didn't grow up thinking that somebody's going to pay them to take care of their own places.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, we've been working on that with my 15-month-old. We've been working on we call it the personal responsibility game. So like when she throws food off her high chair, when we're all done, we go, okay, it's time to pick up all this food and go throw it in this Walmart bag, and we're
That's
going to
so
throw it in the
funny.
trash. She can't reach the trash can yet, so it's easier to
Right.
do it this way.
Personal
And
responsibility game. That's
yeah,
great.
or after she is done in the bathtub and we get her all ready for bed, we say, okay, go put your dirty clothes in the dirty clothes basket. And she goes and takes her clothes to the dirty
That's
clothes
great.
basket.
Now that child is
She's very,
she's
very
gr-
smart.
she's very smart, but she's also not a baby.
No, she's a toddler now.
Well, she's never been a baby. She's always wanted to be a big girl, so she always wants to do the big girl stuff. She's so
Well,
funny.
big girl stuff is definitely personal responsibility.
Yes, that's part of being a big girl.
But it's been fun to, especially because, you know, when you put so much effort into doing something like cooking, when they're throwing it on the floor, you're like, I don't want to pick up after you very
Yes.
much. You're going to pick up some of it. She doesn't get most of it,
Right,
but
right.
at least she knows a little bit. Like,
Right.
oh, if I threw this on the floor, sometimes she eats it while she's throwing it away.
Oh my goodness, she's so funny. So, so there's also bare minimum with extended family. This
Mhm.
also kind of crosses into a former episode about boundaries. Um, so bare minimum, I would think with extended family is that you should be able to communicate boundaries with parents, the way that you do things. I would say rules, but the way that you do things with your children, to not just the grandparents, but your aunts and uncles and whoever's a part of the family helping to take care of that child
Yeah.
or those children. One of the bare minimums that we have is not to talk about politics or religion at the dinner table,
Yep.
so we can have good conversation, because not everybody agrees with everything, and you never know when you're going to just like ignite a
Yeah.
flame that turns
Even
into
if it's like little
forest
stuff
fire.
where it's going to be a
Yes.
good conversation. We've shut it down completely. Even if it's a joke or something, we've shut it down completely. And like,
Yes.
no, we don't talk about this at the table.
Right. We want peace. We do talk about politics and religion, but not at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Not with everybody all together.
When it's supposed to be a good quality
Right.
family time. And sometimes it's hard in a big group setting to talk about that kind of stuff too.
Right. Right.
I think another one is now that we have like children with children in
Mhm.
the family, it's been remember mom and dad's rules, and per kid or per family you back up mom and dad's rules. It's not, well, it's different at
Yes.
Nan and Papa's house. In our family it's not like that. Or it's different at Auntie's house. No, mom said this or dad said this, and that's the end of it.
Right.
And the bare minimum is backing those parents up.
Right.
And
We're
if
on
there's
the
nothing
team.
you can do, you don't have to parent them. You just, mommy said no, I can't
Right.
give you this candy right
Right.
now.
Mommy and daddy are the bad guys,
Yeah,
not the grandparents
that's fine with
ever.
me. I don't care.
And then on the other side of that, the adult children have to realize that their parents' money and time
It's not
are no
theirs.
longer theirs. We don't have that issue, but I've heard of other families that have had that issue where it's just expected that it's your grandchild, so I'm just going to drop them over at your house now, or it's your turn to watch them. And like, no, not necessarily. We love to be with our grandchildren, but this is your child, and we can choose when we're with the child, with our
Right.
grandchildren.
Or like even when it's adult children, it's I remember having that talk when I was 19, 20 years old. It's like I'm not paying for you every single time you go out. You have your own money, you have
Right.
your own job.
Right.
You know, I'll pay for you as when I feel like doing it, when I feel like blessing you. And if you don't have it, you need to say something and we do something else. I'm not
Right.
paying for you every time.
Right. So that's bare minimum, is having these kind of conversations,
Yeah.
these kind of conversations. And let me tell you, some of those are difficult because you just want to spoil your children, but you also want them to learn to adult
Yeah.
progressively, not like, okay, it's all yours. And then they, at 18 or 21, this is all yours. And then you're done. That usually doesn't turn out well.
And then on the other side, being an adult with adult parents, there are times where it is hard to hold your boundaries and
Mhm.
your settings, but the bare minimum is expecting them to see you as an adult and
Yes.
understand like the way that I'm telling you I love you is by respecting you
Right.
and giving you that respect as a parent or as an adult. Like
Right.
if you guys don't do it this way in your family, then that's the rule you've set and that's okay.
Right. It takes a lot of communication
Yeah.
and a lot of adapting to life changing, but
And sometimes some hurt feelings and some hard conversations and some
right,
tears.
right. And accepting, okay, this is how it is right now. But we should be doing that as our children grow, because about the time we're used to where they're at, they're changing again. And so, especially as they become middle schoolers and teenagers, we got to slowly back up more and more so that they can make decisions, especially while they're under our roof, and adapt to, this child is not a child anymore. They're becoming an adult, and oh my gosh, now they are an adult, and I have to let them make decisions, even if they are not decisions that
Or
I
smart
would want them
even.
to be, or even smart. Right? Sometimes, just like us, they have to learn the hard way about
Yep.
things. It's just hard as a parent to watch and not try to rescue.
Yeah. So relationships are an important part of our lives.
Mhm.
As you go through your week, ask yourself, am I investing into this relationship and is the other person investing as a bare minimum?
And are you holding space for that person and not inserting yourself as the person that's going through what's happening? Are you letting that person feel what they're feeling and accept it, and be there, be present with that person?
Right. And then also when I'm on autopilot and trying to stay afloat, what are the bare minimum tethers that I can hang on to
Yes.
keep my life running and not sink?
Right. And that's where sometimes you have to put effort in, is just to keep the boat from rocking
Sinking.
too far over, and keep it so that it keeps finding balance and keep finding the port.
Or you
Like,
can hang on.
right, I'm going to hang on to this, because sometimes many times the bare minimum is just things that we do in our daily lives that actually help our mental health in tremendous ways.
Help ground us. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us this week as we talk about bare minimum. We've been really excited about the trajectory of this podcast and the progress, but also the fun of the behind the scenes and the
Yes.
writing and all of that. It's been a really good ride. And
Yeah.
thank you for subscribing and for liking us and following us. That's been really fun.
Next week, we're going to talk about currency, and not financial currency, but the currency that we have in our relationships. It's our last of this season. It will be the last of this season, as we lay some basic foundational pieces to the content that we'll have in upcoming seasons. So we'll see you next week, and have a great week.
Bye.